Hi, this is Olaf. I'm the 2021 World Champion 50-54 from St. George. This is a bit of an update as there was no Kona this year. I failed to qualify in Texas after a heart problem and had a heart surgery afterwards, etc. So yeah, this season has been a bit of a mess. Very low points, and so yeah, I learned some stuff as well. I wanted to share with you. All right, so first a little bit of an update in terms of really what happened up to Ironman Texas in April. Since COVID basically, I started to have some heart arrhythmia, meaning that my heart basically beating not regularly. My heart that happened basically every 6 months, lasted sort of for 2 to 3 days. Not really a problem, almost couldn't basically feel it where I was at rest, but you lose around 25% of your heart capacity. So definitely as soon as you start to make an effort, the heart rate is much higher, you feel out of breath. You apparently, so the upper part of the heart beats really fast, around 300 or so, but the lower part, which is the bigger one that pumps the blood, was still sort of normal, but it's number one, it's not good for the heart because as I mentioned, the upper part sort of beats really fast, and also there's a small risk of doing a stroke because there's like a cavity in the heart, and since the heart is not pumping efficiently, and there can be the heart can get or the blood can get stuck there, thicken, and there's a small risk of having a heart having a stroke because of that. Now, because I'm still relatively young, not diabetic, not smoking and all that, the risk is really low, but nevertheless. But I didn't really consider it was a huge issue. Just had to take a few days rest, and then off we go again. And so I prepared for Texas normally, was in a really good shape. And then during the race, it started basically on the bike, where at the end of the bike for 5 minutes, my heart basically went from 130 to 150 for 5 minutes without any reason. So I follow my heart rate. And even I felt something was wrong. So I really started to bike really easy for that time. But then after 5 minutes, it was okay again. I sort of rolled into transition. I started the run normally. I had like over 5 minutes. Was in the lead in my age group, so normally the qualification was in the bag easy. And but after almost 10k, my heart basically started again to not beat regularly. My heart rate jumped up by 20 beats, and by putting my hand on the heart, I could definitely feel that there was a problem. And so just had to unfortunately stop the race. I was walking a bit, but then Maggie was there, and also a guy from Ironman camp checked if sort of I was okay, but it's just no way you can finish. You don't want to really hurt yourself long term. So unfortunately I had to abandon that race, and that was obviously a shitty decision, but at the end of the day nothing much I could do about that. So the race unfortunately ended with the DNF. Okay, so after Texas, we began the question, okay, so what do we do now? I asked 3 cardiologists. So one, my regular cardiologist in France, who was the cardiologist of my father. I got a contact of somebody who actually specialized in these heart arrhythmias. The guy, one of the guy I trained with here in Martinique, is a dentist, and he did sort of the common, his first part of his studies. He did that with this guy, and so I was able to contact him, and he responded, and then I also had somebody else. The husband from my niece also is a cardiologist. So, and they all said that basically you have to do this operation, which is called heart ablation. So ablation normally is you cut something away, but here you actually don't cut anything away. You just you go in there, and by different methods you basically burn in the end parts of the heart internally to prevent these heart arrhythmias, which are basically short circuits, to happen. Now, the reason why this is happening in the first place is likely because of so much sport that I have been doing these last few years. So and apparently it's quite a few endurance athletes who develop this, because the heart is so strong, or the heart is so big that and it slows down so much, which is actually not a good thing, that there's a higher chance of these impulses, or which normally send signals to the heart to beat at the same time, that these happen at the wrong time, and then the heart sort of goes out of sync. So one is because of the sport, but they basically all said, okay, do this operation, and then that should significantly improve, and you should not have these heart arrhythmias anymore. And then the question was, all right, do I try to do another race and qualify nevertheless? And there was Lanzarote was just a few weeks away. I was able to, actually the registrations were already closed right that day, but I was able to get an entry and the link to basically. But then we just said, all right, let's not be stupid and let's go do this operation. So it was at the American Hospital in Paris, which is sort of the top-notch private hospital. So it ended up, with and I don't really have like super private insurance that pays for everything, but in the end, it was still sort of costed like 6,000 euros, which is a lot, but probably for American standards not that much. But I was able to basically do that right away there, and so I flew to Paris, and basically what happens is that they go in the vein here on the hip. They go up until the heart, and there they have to basically go through the heart from the right side to the left side. And then there they have a little plastic thing inside that blows up. They put some gas through that at minus 60 degrees, and then they start to burn areas at the upper heart, which then is preventing these heart arrhythmias in 90% of the cases afterwards. And so that's what I did. Right, so the after that operation, well, it was really a bit of a shock to the system. Yeah, so it was really tough. So first of all, so 6 weeks zero sport. I could not really. At the beginning it was just walking up a few steps, you would be out of breath. So it was a massive hit to the system. It was definitely much worse than what I expected. So because you arrive, it was it was not like an open heart surgery. So you come in at noon and I left in the evening. But yeah, boy, did it whack me in the head. Sort of a week afterwards, my rest heart rate was sort of 15 beats per minute above to where it was before. And then 6 weeks nothing. 6 weeks of rest, and then I started very slowly again, and it was really tough. So I sent the doctor a WhatsApp at one point and asked, okay, is this normal? And he said, yeah, don't worry, it should all come back, etc. But it's been just a huge struggle. 3 months after the operation, my heart rate was still sort of 7-8 beats higher than it used to be before. I sort of, on the trainer, on the bike, I lost basically 40-50 watts. I started riding again on the hills, immediately heart rate sort of at 150 just to getting that thing. I'm riding with guys who, I didn't even know they existed really in terms of competition, and now they're as good as me, or I'm as average as them. Not really able to follow them. So so it was really tough for a while, and I just could not think that it was just because of me not being fit, etc. Just not possible. And the heart rate, so all the references I had were sort of gone. So that was a huge worry. And then I went back to Paris to see all the specialists again, and I saw one. Well, first I saw the cardiologist here in Martinique. Quite useless. So when I talked to him about it, he said, maybe sort of psychological issues. Obviously, what they just check is, are you dying or are you not dying? Okay, so I was not dying. I was able to do sport again. I did sort of an effort test, and was able to do some for sports. I was able to do some pretty good numbers, but definitely not like the world championship numbers that I was able to do before. And no clue, obviously, about really this intervention, what effects it had. I saw my cardiologist in Paris. Also, some senior guy also had basically no idea about, And then I saw the surgeon again, and so there for the first time, he explained, all right, the fact that the heart rate is a lot higher, actually normal. That is what we want. That was the point of the operation as well, because that sort of reduces the risks of having these arrhythmias starting. And so all right, so that was first of all a great reassurance that all right, I'm not crazy. It's normal that my heart beat at rest is where it is, and even now, so I got the operation in June, so it's been 5.5 months now, and my heart rate is still sort of at rest. I'm between sort of 45, 46, 47, whereas before I was maybe at 39, 40, 41, right? So there's definitely this difference or reset in terms of rest heart rate, but at least, okay, we can expect this to stay there. And then in terms of performance, I've done really good progress recently. So in the last 2 months, I would say I regained sort of 30 watts on the bike. So when I do, I'm able now to do sort of easy bikes on the trainer at 180, 190 watts, quite easily. I mean, before I was doing, sort of 210, for a few hours. But I'm able finally to get back into some kind of good groove, and so I'm starting to get there. But yeah, so the jury is still out there in terms of, am I gonna get back to any real decent level? It's coming back slowly. Next week I have my first Olympic race next weekend, so it's going to be interesting to see what that is going to be, or how that is going to be. So I have definitely a bit higher heart rate. When I really push it, it goes to 170, which over 170, even on the bike, it gets close to 170, which before it never used to. So it's going to be interesting how I'm going to fare against all these young guns who I used to beat very easily, and so that's a little bit worried about that, obviously, but it's a nice challenge and something to focus on. But I'm able to, starting to able to do. I haven't really done any long run sessions. I'm still, in terms of projects here, organizing the sort of an international triathlon here in Martinique. We did the first session. It's called Madin Tri, MADIN Tri, or try. .fr. We did the first session here in June, and they're going to do the second one, including a 70.3 for the first time in ages here in Martinique in April. So we're excited about that, and I took over the triathlon part of a cycling club here in Martinique, which needed help, and so that also is quite exciting and stuff I'm working on and keeping me busy. But I signed up, was still able to get a slot at Roth next year. So that's sort of the main objective for next year. So let's just give it a try again. I definitely feel better when I'm in good shape. It's sort of my identity to be a good athlete, and I just love the process of training, and it keeps me sane, and my day structured, etc. So I will see about whether I do another race before that, trying to qualify for Nice, which anyway should be a bit easier. So even with an average performance, that hopefully should be possible. But I just don't know if I lost 2 hours at this stage compared to before, 1 hour or whatever. So we have to see. But that could be interesting, maybe, to put another race in there. But yeah, so just be just be aware, number one, that it's not necessarily, I mean, we knew that, but it's not necessarily good for our body to do that much sport. So that arrhythmia thing is definitely one thing that can happen. The operation, even though it only takes sort of 2 hours and you don't have to stay in the hospital, definitely has long-term effects on the way that your heart works. And it took me 6 months, so thinking that you can just do it and then do a Ironman a couple of months afterwards, it's the same level. It's definitely not going to happen. So even if I had done this additional race to qualify before the operation, I just would not have been in a top shape for Kona. It just would have been impossible. Definitely going to take 6 months to get back to some kind of level, and I think it's going to take me at least a year to be close to where I was before. And not sure actually I will be able to get back to sort of the super performer I used to be. So that's still a few question marks, but exciting and happy to be back to some decent level and be able to at least be on the start line next week. So interesting to see what's going to happen. Be careful out there, and any questions, let me know. Happy to share. Take care.